were for TPP. Labour was for TPP. Now you're changing it.
I have been in Parliament now for 8 years. Never in those 8 years have I witnessed the depth of passion, the fervour and the insight of New Zealand people in opposing any piece of government policy before. This is without precedent. Yeah! And I want to pay tribute to you for displaying that. 3,000 written submissions, 300 oral submissions that we have sat through for many weeks. People coming for the first time in their lives into Parliament before the Select Committee, nervous and displaying extraordinary personal insight that they have developed on fundamental policies of government. I come from also a TPPA-free zone. I live on Waiheke, TPP-free. But this is where I work. Not that building, but that building. And that's the difference. That's the government, and that is Parliament, and there is a qualitative difference. This is the opposition, which is why you have three parties here opposing the TPP, and rightly so. A majority of New Zealanders are opposing it. I commissioned some research to find out what the polls actually said. The polls said that on an average basis, 39% oppose and 26% are for. If that's not a good reason to hold a referendum, then what is? This agreement is full, fundamental flaws in the substance of the agreement. The government is using the wrong criteria by which to judge it and call it in the net national interest that we should proceed. It's the wrong criteria. They spin it, as Grant said, as a trade agreement. It is not. It is a trade, but especially an investment agreement, and it goes beyond investment. It assails the sovereignty of this Parliament in intrusive ways. The secrecy with which this agreement has been negotiated is matched only by the arrogance and heavy-handed tactics with which it has been pushed through to this stage of Parliament already. I've got three words for our movement. One, delay. Delay the legislation. There's no rush. Two, debate. Debate it in Parliament. I challenge the government this afternoon, when it brings in the report and when the legislation comes in the following day, put the treaty examination up for a debate. And three, vote. Let there be a public referendum. So delay, debate, and vote. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou, Fletcher Tabuto here from New Zealand First. Hey, good on you for coming out today, and I want to start by acknowledging everyone who spoke to the Select Committee over the last few weeks. And I especially want to acknowledge the passionate people who came before us, were literally shaking because of the intimidating nature of the process. But I want to acknowledge the experts, the legal experts, the international trade experts who stood and sat before the committee and said, do not sign, do not ratify this agreement. And we have a government sitting up there ignoring experts, ignoring just about the majority of New Zealand today. It's just unacceptable. But I want to say that you've got the Prime Minister scared. You've still got him scared, because last night he spoke to a group and he gave most of the time of his speech talking up the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. He was still selling it last night because you've got him worried, and I'd like to think that the opposition here, who are actually standing up and providing a strong and solid opposition to this partnership agreement, there's next to no trade in it, have got this government worried because they know the majority of people in New Zealand oppose this agreement. And why do they oppose it, ladies and gentlemen? Because this is not a trade deal for the people of New Zealand. This is a trade deal that empowers the 1%. And how many times have we heard the conversation about just how bad it is in the world today that the 1% are just taking. And I tell you, the TPPA just makes it easier and it makes their position stronger, not just now, but into the future, and that is completely unacceptable. So for me to stand up and oppose the TPPA on behalf of New Zealand First is not opposition against trade. It is opposition against the 1%, the corporate elite, and the international foreign corporates, because we know from real analysis undertaken by objective groups, universities, experts around the world, this will not benefit New Zealanders. In fact, we'll lose jobs and the equity gap will continue to grow here. And that is absolutely not what we need. So I stand before you today and say that New Zealand First supports a binding referendum, and we encourage you to pursue that, and we hope it's not too late. Kia kaha. Thank you, everyone.
So you've heard it. We do have some people in the House of Representatives standing up for us, and there's more of them here than the three who spoke. So can I just get you to thank again the brave political parties and the politicians who are prepared to actually do their job and look after New Zealanders and look after our jobs, our future, our children, and what we want, which is our democracy. So give them a big round of applause. It is important that we support them now as they stand up and defend our rights and defend our democracy. So that report goes into the House today. That report goes into the House today, and as you hear, there is going to be a minority report, which means that we need to keep up our opposition. We do need to keep John Key on the run on this one. We need to make him scared. We need to make him think that we do not want a government that does not defend New Zealanders' rights. But also, there is another move, and you heard about that. The group here in Wellington, the groups around the country are putting together a bid to get a binding referendum on this. Because who should decide about our future? It should be us. All New Zealanders should decide about the rules that govern us. We want to maintain our sovereignty and our democracy. So that is really, really crucial. So there are two last speakers who are going to let you know a little bit more about why we have to stand up. And you heard from Grant Robertson. One of the groups is Grant Brooks from NZNO, the nurses organisation. Healthcare professionals have stood up in large numbers saying this is really bad for New Zealand healthcare. It's interesting today we're standing here with all this wonderful New Zealand healthcare around us. This will allow corporations to dictate the rules we make to look after New Zealanders who need healthcare. So please, a big welcome for Grant.